No war holdings include been closed, no embassies close, but the absence of concern pronounced by a U.S. authority concentrated on America at first has deep shocked its statute in the area. Meantime, a quantity of boiling flashpoints through the area could testing the US obligation to its allies, and Meizuo told China is potential to use such points of stress to show its provincial leadership. He's the 100th anniversary date of the China Communistic side in July 2021, and I believe, China CEO, Xi Jinping will loving to show his human beings how China has be a dominating force in Asia by later, she told. Same US may wish to changing its Asia politics following 3 year, but I'm really concerned if how will be probable, Meizuo added. China is reorganization the whole world procedure in the Asia silent. Southwest Asia, the neglected flash temperature anywhere in Southwest Asia is the force fight among the joint state and China, as precise as in the struggle for monitoring of the southward China Ocean. He's a provincial flash temperature that has length endangered to Iskra a greater gunman dispute among regional claims of at low 5 individual countries for a little gallery of pitfalls and immersed islands. Yet if story is whatever to go by, it tool tensions will begin to growth once again, he told. Floor told above the following 3 year down there are few channel China could crucifix that would potential incite a brutal response of the joint state and some Southwest Asiatic nations. For copy, it could announce an air defense area above the Spratly Islands, as it did in the East China Ocean, or China forces could start restoration of Scarborough Shallow. Besides, so far China has refrained of send any soldier plane to its synthetic islands, but taking into account the scope of the means they've constructed on 3 of these features for plane, he's very just a issue of period, he told. How would order a response of Southwest Asiatic countries, so I believe China is game it careful for the time. Yet, I indicate if they do, which options do such countries include some rather than to outcry. Floor told any moves by Vietnam to Beijing would be amazing. How would be a key sign how China is winner in the area and how Southwest Asiatic countries were manufacturing acquiescence to China, he told. East Asia, cracks in US impact the extensive most of us force in Asia, both of war and tactful, is centered on the Korean Peninsula. Same present polar Korean nuke meltdown is showed the significant force how the US has to do to draft its force, he told. It isn't fair the powerlessness of the US to halt polar Korea achieving nuke arms. Reiterated threats of war activity that could go at the charge of southward Korea include inflicted concerns amongst the shut US friend, Garden told. Same column of the many decades-old certainty how the US would protect Seoul as if it were Los Angeles is emerging to tremble, he told. Trump cards threats of capacity war intervene in polar Korea are potential to be proven in upcoming year as so. Garden told future rocket test is potential in 2018, as so as a probable air nuke testing by the polar Koreans. Neighboring countries will be observer the US thoroughly and any reckless dispute sparked by Washington will be laid down direct at the White's building's doorway. Same trust of US management as a supplier of world sustainability would destroy, Garden told. But time world focus is concentrated on the Korean Peninsula. China could search to testing US impact in Asia via a fully individual flash temperature in East Asia. They ever declared Taiwan was portion of China, so now as China becomes more than energetic, more than strong, as the Americans drag behind, Beijing might do thing how might be a surprise party. Any moves by China versus Taiwan would be a testing for US impact, as Washington has been a shut friend of Taipei for many decades. If US promises to protect the Isle of Beijing aggressive weren't awarded, Su told, the backdown could crush US impact and alliances in Asia. Southward Asia, war attention changing hardly 2 weeks in 2018, Hindu troop head General Bipin Rawat told it was period for India to change its defense attention to the northern boundary it shares in China. But Bharat Karnad, study prof in domestic safety teaching at the Center for Politics Study in New Delhi, told the reposition was required and length expired. On to Rawat, India and few some countries in Asia, consisting Japan, were already treat the US as a attenuation force, who could no much longer be relied on for defense need. It could manifest himself in the next via Asiatic countries and particularly India and Japan collaborating and collaboration future on their safety objectives, he told. Some countries in Southward Asia include expected the new example in a various path, selecting to do final moves nearer to the by the government in Beijing. China is, maybe the just actual strategy affiliate Pakistan has also, not of present or the recent 5-year, but for the recent 4 persons many decades. In them, we include a full adjustment of concern, she told. In spite India's neighbors Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Myanmar work close in China, Karnad told Delhi had one benefit that would conduct Beijing at bay for the close next at low. China cannot provide to miss the Hindu marketplace, he told. If it upsets India too lot, it can close off the Hindu marketplace to China consumer goods. The China economics conducted a big hit. Things are far more than hard for China rather than lot human beings in the Western do of. Australia, dexterous public diplomacy require he's been a course year for Australia diplomatically, trapped in complex and capricious relationships in both of US CEO Donald Trump card and the China by the government. In January, Australia World Growth Secretary Concetta Fierravantawell said regional print China's aid in the silent was fair creation, worthless buildings and roads to anywhere. Hugh Whites, Prof of Strategy teaching at the Australia Domestic College, says Australia is yet captured in the prayer that has certain its tactful option for a 10 years, Australia doesn't include to select among the joint state and China. Australia perceptibly supports the profound betrothal of the joint state in the economical and safety sphere of the area, that has been and continues to be significant to the sustainability and prosper of the Indo-Pacific, the paper says. But Whites alerted how above the following 3-year, captured among and more violent China and a uninterested Whites building, Canberra could be trapped untrained for a new Asia. Australia doesn't include a politics on the it fair has a episode of hopes, he told. In Australia extremely confident on the joint state for its defence, any collapse of US impact or present in the Asia area could keep the Isle nationality militarily downstream, Whites told. To aggravate matters, Australia looks potential to see a changing in by the government up 2021, in the present by the government by Main Secretary Malcolm Turnbull widely unloved through polls. Down there's no sign as yet if a new Labour by the government would changing its politics to China or the joint state. Michael Fullilove, execution CEO of Sydney's Lowy Institution, doesn't accept in Whites how China is guaranteed to suppose the management of the Asia area, but added navigation the upcoming year would get dexterous public diplomacy for Australia. Which Australia is necessary to do is fence, by searching to act and busy part, diplomatically, by enhancing our protection in some countries. The more than we can reinforce our protection in India, Indonesia and Japan, the stronger it is for Asia to be dominated by one special country, he told. At the identical period, Fullilove told Australia as necessary to job to hold the US betrothed in the area time collaborating in China while it is in Canberra's interests to do so. How's a really aspiring overseas politics affair scheduled out? The issue in a lot of minds is the Flying Australia policy framework able of it? Will it prioritize overseas politics? Does it include the money to conduct it away? He told.